I can tell when something's Jewish. I had an engagement ring that was kind of scratchy and it was poking my kids. So I asked my mom if she had a family ring I could wear. She brought it the next time she and my dad visited. And when she pulled it out, she got this very serious look on her face. And she said, "Now, Sarah, this ring is too nice to wear every day. So you should keep it in this little plastic bag and lock it away in your safe." Now that is Jewish. There were things I loved about being Jewish. I actually loved going to synagogue, which we did about once a month. I loved the ark that the Torah was kept in. I love how when the Torah emerged in the service, the music lifted and we all rose. I love how the Torah marched through the congregation and we got to kiss the dark blue velvet covering. There were things I didn't love about being Jewish. We weren't very good at joy. All the furniture in my house was too hard or too small. We didn't have a big comfy couch where everyone could relax. The only time I heard my dad put music on in our house was when we were leaving. He said if someone came to rob us, they would hear the music and think someone was home. When I was 11, my mom left me and my sister home alone at night without a babysitter for the first time. Things were going pretty well, and then the phone rang. My sister said, "Don't answer it." Hello? It was a prank call. I heard an older teenager's voice. "Where were you? We've been waiting for you." What? And even though I knew how phones worked, I felt like they were there out the window and could see me. My sister said, "Hang up the phone." I was shaken. And then the phone rings again. And my sister says, "Don't answer it." Hello? "Where are you? We're still waiting for you. Hang up the phone." I hang up the phone. And now the terror has risen so far up my body that it gives me a bloody nose. And blood starts dripping down my face onto my pink Joffrey Ballet nightgown. And that freaks my sister out, and her freak out freaks me out, and we start running around the kitchen. And blood is flying, and I'm like, they are coming, and we have to get out of here. And we run out of our house. We start frantically knocking at our neighbors' doors. This nice neighbor that we didn't know, a grown man, opens the door. He sees two young girls, one with blood on their face. He lets us in, he sits us down, and he calms us. Meanwhile, my parents come home. My mom makes a beeline for the answering machine like she always did. And my dad is left alone in the front of the house. There are no children, and there's blood all over the kitchen. Just as he's steeling himself to present this to his wife, the neighbor comes and knocks on the door and says, "We have your children, all is well." What strikes me about that story is how already at 11, the fear was so intense in my system that I didn't feel safe, even in my own home. I felt like anyone could come and get me in my house. When I was 15, my parents went out with their Havurah. It's a group of families that met up for community about once a month. They did before I was born, and they still do. And at this point, some of the children were older and dating and getting ready to get married, and so marriage came up. The sound of my parents' arrival brought my sister and I out into the hallway between our two rooms, and my parents are in their hallway. And something is alive in my mom that isn't usually alive. Something is churning that isn't usually churning. And she says, "This came up. What do you think we would rather? Do you think we would rather you marry a white non-Jew or a Black Jew? I can tell she thinks she's presenting a conundrum, an unsolvable puzzle, but I instantly know the answer is a white non-Jew. So how did I know that my parents would rather me marry someone white and forsake my Jewish identity? To answer, I have to take us back to Nazi Germany, where a reign of unspeakable violence befell mostly Jews from around 1933 to 1945. My parents were born in 1948, just 3 years after the war was declared over. Resmaa Menakem, a cultural trauma therapist, says that when a culture braces for impact and a woman in that culture gives birth, the cortisol that's been flooding her system from that stress is transferred to the newborn. And so from day one, that baby is set to brace for impact. My parents certainly braced for impact. It makes sense that a traumatized people would want to feel safe above all else. So in that proposition, I didn't hear Black is bad. Black wasn't demonized in my house. What I understood that was that for me to date a Black man or marry a Black man would be something visible. It would be noticed. It would come under scrutiny. And I knew that scrutiny would be insufferable. So what I heard was, would we rather you be safe and give up a key part of your familial identity, or maintain that identity and risk the threat of being noticed? And what I felt was mad. Why are those my only two choices? Why do I have to choose between being unharmed and being myself? So today, as a daughter of the Holocaust, I'd like to ask a new question. What is it like to be safely visible?